Hello, Fear Cat here, and welcome to the 27th episode of this Legend of Zelda Let's Play. This really is going fast. I'm gonna show off how to get to the Great Fairy of Magic here, who increases your magic meter so it becomes twice as large as it was before. I'm only going to show how to get there because there's no point at the moment, because I used the cheats earlier. It won't actually, the fairy won't actually give you any more magic. She just heals all your wounds, which there's no point in at the moment. But now you can get into this cave which she's in by destroying these boulders. These different coloured boulders you need to use a Megatron hammer for. I thought for a little while that you might need to use bombs, but no, apparently not. So I've cut out a lot of things here. The episode overran, so I've cut out a lot of the mistakes I made. I'm not that happy about it, but I sort of thought I ought to only include the things that are absolutely necessary, and I cut out a lot of my travelling, even travelling within Goron City itself. If you talk to the Gorons now, they basically say thank you for getting rid of the dragon. So I'm not going to show off that. I'm going to show off what this one Goron we spoke to earlier, the one who's called Link, has to say. But he's been quite stubborn, as you can see. So they say something roughly like this. Just thank you for what you've done. This is fair enough. Now I'm going to show off how you can get the big Goron knife. It's not very helpful because it breaks very easily. It costs 200 rupees. And trust me, when I say easily, I mean easily. I think there were certain things that you can attack where it breaks it instantly, and I think it can only hit a certain number of things. I don't remember exactly what, but basically it's not worth it, and we'll be getting a much better improved sword later on. The way to get through it is through here. You can use your own bombs if you want. I suppose as a sort of test of your timing, although I'm not sure what the point of that is, since I think that's pretty much already been tested by various dungeons by now. If you go back to being Chao Link and you come here, the Goron you can see there will say wait for 7 years, and then I've got a useful thing I can give you. I kind of feel sorry for this Goron because half of its body's trapped in a really small space where it can't move at all, and the front part of its body is trapped in a fairly small space where it can't move that much. So it seems happy enough. You know, its head's kind of nodding along to the music there. It seems happy, but yeah, I feel kind of sorry for it, really. Can't use your shield at the same time as using this either. Although, to be honest, I don't use the shield that much. So yeah, that's pretty much shown off the sword, but we're not actually going to buy it. I can't see any tools, I can't see any sort of bench for working on, and there isn't a lot of space. There obviously isn't a lot of space for its arms, so I'm not really sure how it was able to create anything whilst it was there trapped in such a small space, but never mind. Apparently it can build things, so there we go. I've tried to get a sense of travelling, a sense of flow here. By the way, I've edited this so it actually looks like you're travelling and not teleporting from one place to another. But basically you need to get here. Now there is another entrance apart from this entrance, and then forest entrance, the Lost Woods entrance. There is another entrance that you can get to as an adult by going to Lake Hyrule, and you need to jump off a fence for that, so you can only use it with a pony, but you can't use it right now anyway because it's all iced over. The entrance is covered by ice, but I will be showing that off eventually. See, like for example, I cut out accidentally taking the exit into the Lost Woods. Now here's a question I have. Why is it snowing indoors? It's best to play the sun song here because there's a sculpture you can only get whilst the waterfall is frozen, and it only appears at night. So anyway, yeah, I had a choice. Either this episode could overrun or it could be too short. I decided to make it longer. I'm actually considering making the basic length 25 minutes or more instead of 20 minutes or more, because 25 minutes just lets me get more done. Basically, over the last few episodes you might have noticed that they've been longer, and I thought that was just because it's in the dungeon, but actually going through Ice Cavern as well, it takes a while. So I'm thinking about that. I don't like it that much because it means I have to find more things to talk about, because I have to talk for longer, and I'm not always satisfied with my commentary, but I'm considering it. Navi doesn't have anything useful to say, by the way. She just basically says, go to the Zora's, which is where you are now. Go to the water temple, but you can only get to the water temple by going here. So it's been unhelpful as usual. And King Zora's been frozen, as you can see. And why does the ice suddenly stop here and it turns into water? That makes no sense either. You might remember there used to be a really big fish here. Perhaps it moved. Or perhaps it's frozen underneath the ice. I've just found on. I don't know. Octoroks are annoying. They're annoying no matter which version of Zelda you've got. Anything that can project things at you. Like those rocks, presumably. It's called an Octorok. So yeah, it kind of looks like it's throwing popcorn at you, but it's not. It's a rock. And they're very annoying here. There is a way to get up on that. I just don't remember what it is. Well, a way other than travelling along on top of these. I think you have to sort of sword jump, if you see what I mean. But do one of those sword attacks where you jump forwards whilst whilst you've got it says targeted. I think that's it, but I can't really remember properly, so I didn't do it. I wonder if this always happens in I mean, I don't know what the general Hyrule temperatures are, but does Zora's River tend to freeze like this during winter? Of course, it's not winter that's caused this. It's got something to do with Ganondorf. But it would be awfully inconvenient if all it takes is for sort of the temperature to go quite low, like this, in order to freeze the entire city. You would have thought that they'd have some way of warming it up, but perhaps the climate's very warm around Lake Hyrule. I don't know. In fact, speaking of episode length, I haven't even managed to get it to a point that makes a good sort of ending point. But again, it was either have a bad point to end the episode which doesn't feel appropriate but would make the episode too short, or make the episode too long and have an ending that doesn't feel right, you know. Like, for example, if you end an episode just after fighting a mini-boss, or just before fighting a mini-boss, that seems like it's come to an actual sort of end for the episode, and unfortunately this one doesn't. I was looking for ages for an eye to fire at here, and then I realised that it wasn't an eye, it was a crystal switch. And after that I looked at the strategy guide. So this, I said I would tell you if it's a strategy guide, and I did use the strategy guide for this. I don't particularly like the music on this level, in this dungeon, this mini dungeon. This mini dungeon uses ice physics, and I don't know why they keep on putting ice physics in computer games. I know it's good to make computer games hard, but this doesn't just make it hard, this makes it irritating, and everyone in the computer game industry should know by now that gamers don't like ice physics. People who play computer games do not like ice physics, so why do they keep putting them in? Why do they keep putting in unskippable cutscenes? Why do they keep on putting in quick time events? No one likes these things. I know that makes it more of a challenge, but it also makes it annoying. And computer game designers should know that by now. I don't know why the sound seems to be slightly out of sync with what's happening on the screen here. Like those don't howl at the point when they first appear. They howl a couple of seconds after, and you hear crystals smashing a couple of seconds after you smash them. So I don't know. Or maybe it's just me who can, you know, maybe with you it's working fine. I'm just recording this, I haven't watched it yet. Well, I haven't watched the finished version, I've only watched the version without my commentary. I think it's possible to get 4 bottles. Yes it is. I remember how, and I will be trying to show it off, but I probably won't get all 4 because they're very annoying. To get the task that you have to do to get all of the bottles is going to take more than a 20-minute episode. It's going to take at least an hour to do, and it won't be fun to watch, so I won't be showing that off. And you don't really need 4 bottles, but it is possible to get 4. Remember, whilst you're playing this, to get as much of the blue flame as possible though, even if you've only got 3 bottles. Get at least 2 bottles worth of blue flame, because you're really going to need it later on. I don't see how you can have a cool flame either. If I remember correctly, I admit I'm not good on chemistry, but if I remember correctly, the blue flame is hotter than yellow flame, but it's certainly hotter than the red one. I think it's sort of red, then yellow, then blue. But yeah, a cool flame is an oxymoron. I don't like Ice Cavern. To me, it's just as annoying as people say the water temple is. It's less complicated, but I really hate the ice physics, and I think it's got rubbish music, and it's dull as well. It's really quite boring and quite irritating. I just don't like it. I was mentioning earlier that I would say every time I use the strategy guide, and of course now I have, but something else that I think I ought to mention is I said ages ago, many episodes ago, that I would tell you if there were differences between the temples and the temples in the Master Quest and the temples in the normal version. You might have noticed that I've stopped doing that, or you might not. You probably don't care that much, but I'm gonna explain anyway. I need something to say. So the thing is that I don't actually know with the later temples. The only reason I know with the earlier temples is because firstly, earlier on when I was first making this, I could be bothered to look up what the differences are, and now I can't be bothered to go online to look up what the differences are, so there's that. And secondly, when I first started this Let's Play, I watched someone else's Let's Play to sort of work out what style I was doing it in, to help me work that out. And now I'm not watching it anymore, so I can't sort of see the differences between their version of the game and my version of the game, if you see what I mean. The only way to get out of this that Link is doing now is to do that Hyper Sword Slash. And falling down those things, that happens a lot in Ice Cavern as well, and that really annoys me. So yeah, anyway, now you have a chance to bottle up this flame, you ought to do it. So from now on I'm not going to really note the differences unless, and it might vary very occasionally I might actually know what the difference is, but if I don't, then I'm not going to mention it. For a while I thought you could get this with your sword. I wonder what they called this place when it wasn't frozen. I mean, maybe it was always frozen, this one area. I'm not sure how that would actually work, ecology-wise, sort of weather-wise, but maybe it was always frozen. But presuming it wasn't, and this is Ganondorf's doing, then did they call it Water Cavern? I don't know. I think it's a boring looking level as well. I don't like this floor that's made up of sort of geometric shapes. I don't think that's very interesting. I would have had the icy floor look like it was actually ice. And I fell down again. You really have to be careful. This doesn't look narrow, but you do fall off it a lot. I always thought it should give you much better hints than just the Navi turning green and going over to somewhere for you to guess what you have to do. But then again, you know, I suppose with that and wanting to get rid of ice physics, maybe what I'm saying is I want it to be easier, and I don't really want it to be easier. When I say it should, I don't really mean it should. I suppose I mean it would be useful if it did. You know, I'm not complaining about how hard this is. I might complain about how difficult it is to navigate the water temple, but I'm not complaining about this. Even with the water temple, I suppose, firstly I'll be using a strategy guide for that, definitely, and secondly, again, it's about, well, do you want it to be challenging or not? So I suppose what I'm saying is just it will be useful if. I mentioned a Star Trek game that I was trying to get to work. I'm having some problems with my computer speed for that, but I am hoping to get it done fairly soon, or at least I think I mentioned it in the last episode. But just watch the space. If I do get it to work, then I will explain sort of why I'm doing a let's play of it. But it definitely won't mean that I'm giving up on this. I don't intend to give up on this. I don't intend to take a break from this. I will still be doing these Legend of Zelda things, hopefully one per week, maybe 2 per week if I have time. I think I've had a bit more time this week. So hopefully this will be going out on Monday, which I don't think is a full 8 days since the last episode. I think it's more like 5. I could have ended the episode here, but it didn't really feel right. In the end, I think I just ended the episode because I thought, right, I've been doing this for long enough. Let's just end it here now. I would have liked to have gone all the way through the Ice Cavern, and I probably could if I'd started out the episode at the beginning of the Ice Cavern. But I didn't. I started out in Goron City, so It would have just been a 10-minute episode if I'd ended it as soon as I got to the Ice Cavern. So. Again, remember to fill up these bottles before you leave this room. And I'm switching away from having the bottle in that slot because you don't want to accidentally waste one of those. I have to say, I prefer the red tunic. I've noticed that they're all primary colours. Well, you haven't seen the last one yet, but he does have another tunic as well. I don't know why I bothered to mention that they're all primary colours, but they are. It's quite a lot of backtracking, that's one of the reasons why I used the strategy guide. I think we're coming up to the end of the episode. In the next episode I will be finishing Ice Cavern and maybe starting on a quest to get a better sword. So for now I will say bye.